It's a miracle, my friend. I'm in ecstasy. And it's all your doing, Phaedrus. I was looking at you while you were reading, and it seemed to me the speech had made you radiant with delight. And since I believe that you understand these matters better than I do, I followed your lead, and following you, I shared in your Bacchic frenzy.
Come, Socrates. Do you think you should joke about this?
Do you think I'm joking? You think I'm not serious?
You are not at all serious. But now tell me the truth. In the name of Zeus, god of friendship, do you think that any other Greek could say anything more impressive or more complete on the subject?
What? Must we praise the speech on the ground that its author has said what the situation demanded, and not indicated simply on the ground that he has spoken in a clear and concise manner with a precise turn of phrase? If we must, I will have to go along for your sake, since surely, because I am so ignorant, that passed me by. I paid attention only to the speech's style. As to the other part, I wouldn't think that even Lysias would be happy with it. For it seemed to me, said Phaedrus, unless, of course, you disagree, that he said the same thing 2 or 3 times, as if he really didn't have much to say on the subject, almost as if he were very interested in it. In fact, he seemed to be showing off, trying to demonstrate that he could say the same thing in 2 different ways, and say it well, just as well, both times.
Well, you are absolutely wrong. Socrates, okay, that is in fact the best thing about this speech. He has omitted nothing worth mentioning about the subject, so that no one will ever be able to add anything of value to complete what he has already said himself.
You go too far, Phaedrus. I can't agree with you about that. If, as a favor to you, I will accept your view, I will stand refuted by all of the people, all of those wise men and women of old who have spoken or written about this subject.
Who are these people? And where have you heard anything better than this?
I can't tell you offhand, but I'm sure I've heard something better somewhere. Perhaps it was the lovely Sappho, or the wise Anacreon, or even some writer of prose. So, what's my evidence? In fact, my dear friend, my breast is full, and I feel that I can make a different speech, even better than Lysias's. Now, I'm aware that none of these ideas could have come from me. I know my own ignorance. The only other possibility, I think, is that I was filled, like an empty jar, by the words of others streaming in through my ears. Though I'm so foolish, I've forgotten whom and from where I heard them.
But, my dear, you couldn't have said a better thing. Don't bother telling me when and from whom you've heard this, even if I ask you. Instead, do exactly what you said. You just promised to make him another speech, making more points and better ones without repeating a word from my book. And I promise you that, like the 9 Archons, I shall set up in return a life-size golden statue at Delphi, not only of myself, but also of you.
You're a real friend, Phaedrus. Good as gold. To think that I'm claiming that Lysias failed in absolutely every respect, and that I can make a speech that is different on every point as his. I'm sure that couldn't happen even to the worst possible author. In our case, for example, do you think that anyone could argue that one should favor the non-lover rather than lover for praising the former for keeping his wits about him, or condemning the latter for losing his? Points that are essential to make, and still have something left to say. I believe we must allow these points and concede them to the speaker. In their case, we cannot praise their novelty, but only their skillful arrangement. But we can praise both the arrangement and the novelty of the non-essential points that are harder to think up.
I agree with you. I think it's reasonable.
Score.
This, then, is what I shall do. I will allow you to presuppose that the lover is less sane than the non-lover. And if you are able to add anything of value to complete what we have already have in hand, you will stand in hammered gold beside the offering at the Cyclades in Olympias.
Oh, Phaedrus, I was only criticizing your beloved. in order to tease you. Did you take me seriously? Do you think I'd really try to match the product of his wisdom with a fancier speech?
Well, as far as that goes, my friend, you have fallen into your own trap. You have no choice but to give your speech as best you can. Otherwise, you will force us into trading vulgar jibes the way they do in comedy. Ugh, don't make me say what you said. Socrates, if I don't know my own Socrates, I must be forgetting who I am myself. Or he wanted to speak, but he was being coy. Get into your head. We shall not leave here until you recite what you have claimed to have in your breast. We are alone in a deserted place, and I am younger and stronger. From all this, take my meaning, and don't make me force you to speak when you can do so willingly.
But Phaedrus, I'll be ridiculous. I'm a mere dilettante, improvising on the same topics as a seasoned professional.
Do you not understand the situation? Stop playing hard to get. I know what I can say to make you give your speech.
Oh, then please don't say it.
Oh, yes, I will. And what I say will be an oath. I swear to you, by which God I wonder. How about this very plain tree? I swear in all truth that if you don't make your speech right next to this tree here, I shall never, never again recite another speech for you. I shall never utter another word about speeches to you.
My, oh my, what a horrible man you are, Phaedrus. You've really found the way to force a lover of speeches to do just as you say.
So why are you still twisting and turning?
I'll stop now that you've taken this oath. How could I possibly give up such treats?
Speak then.
All right, you know what I'll do?
What?
I'll cover my head. That way, when I'm speaking, I can go as fast as I possibly can, and I won't get embarrassed having to look at you and lose the thread of my thought.
Just give your speech. You can do anything else you like.
Come to me, you clear-voiced muses, whether you are called so because of the quality of your song or from the musical people of Ligurgia. Come, take my burden in telling the tale that this fine fellow forces upon me, so that his companion may now seem to him even more clever than he did before. There was once a boy, a young man actually, and he was very beautiful and had very many lovers. One of them was wily and had persuaded him that he was not in love, though he loved the lad no less than the others, and once in pressing his suit to him, he tried to persuade him that he ought to give his favors to a man who did not love him, rather than to one who did. And this is what he said.